people aren't aware of their beliefs. They just mosey on through life. But when you are becoming an entrepreneur, when you're going to be in the spotlight, the beliefs start to come to the surface and you really have to work through them, because if you don't, then you are going to not achieve the goals that you want to achieve, because you are going to be holding yourself back.
Welcome to Reclaim Your Voice, the podcast for business owners who are ready to be heard, speak on stages and podcasts, and to become genuinely known for what they do. I'm Savannah Madden, confidence and speaking coach for founder-led businesses, and I help you find your voice, own your expertise, and speak in a way that attracts the right clients and opens the right doors. Here we talk about finding your voice, building the confidence to share your message, and doing the real work that gets you recognised by the people you're meant to serve. If you've got something important to say and you want the world to actually hear it, you're in the right place. This is Reclaim Your Voice. Hello and welcome back to the show. I am so delighted to be joined by an incredible guest today who is an identity coach for ambitious women, and she helps them recalibrate their identity and nervous system. And that is usually what is capping their income, their visibility and their growth. So Kirsty Mason, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I've been really looking forward to chatting to you today.
Yes, me too. So I always like to start at the beginning with my guests and let you kind of talk about yourself in your own words. So can you tell us more about what you do, who you are and who you help?
Yes. So as you rightly said, I'm an identity coach for ambitious women, and I support women not to get more strategy within their business, but to make the strategy in their business work. So a lot of women, they know what they're doing in their business. They know exactly how to get clients. They know exactly how to make money, but it's just not working and they don't understand why. So they start to look at doing some more content creation. They start looking at doing more visibility strategies, and they start looking at the business itself, but they don't look at themselves. And usually the problem is within their nervous system and their subconscious beliefs about themselves and their business and success that are actually holding them back. So I support them to identify what is going on with their subconscious mind, what's holding them back. I support them with their nervous system, because if their nervous system isn't aligned with the goals that they have, they're going to sabotage themselves. And then I support them to become what I call their main character, which is their badass main character identity, the one that is running the business, feeling amazing, having all the clients and just living their most amazing, fantastic life. So I support them with that to basically break through their income ceiling and to get more visible, which is what we kind of need to do when we want to grow our business.
Yeah, definitely. I love the fact that you use the phrase main character energy and that you're helping your clients become the main character of their life purely selfishly, because I come from a performing arts background and I always used to love playing the main character. So it really resonates with me. I really enjoy it. It's so interesting what you're saying though, Kirsty, because I think there is probably not one person out there right now that hasn't had that kind of problem at some point in their career or at some point in their business journey. And they may be going through it now. So listening to this will be perfect timing for them. But before we move forward, I really want to ask you about roles that you have had leading up to starting your own business. And one of those roles I believe you still do carry out at the moment, but obviously you can tell me more, and that is that you are an interpreter for deaf people. And I find this utterly fascinating because both my grandparents were deaf and I grew up lip reading and living with my grandmother who did only lip read. So she didn't actually sign, but a lot of her friends did. And I grew up for the first 10 years of my life quite closely aligned with the deaf community. So how has that experience impacted your business journey so far, working with the deaf community?
It's had a huge impact, actually. So I started kind of going back when I was 16, went into the pub with some friends and I saw some deaf people signing. And I was just fascinated that you can communicate with your hands and your face. So as I was doing my A-levels, I went on and learned level 1, level 2 and got a job at my local deaf school and then continued from there. And I absolutely loved doing the job. I love being able to support people. I'm a real empath. I like to care for people. So I kind of fitted very well within that role. But about 4.5 years ago, I discovered self-development. And as I went through this journey of, sort of learning about myself and my past history, you look at your behaviors and your thoughts and your feelings and why was I doing this and why did I think like that? And I realized that one of my biggest limiting beliefs was I wasn't important enough to be heard. And when I reflected on my past, I realized that I'd actually taken on a role where I was putting myself in the shadows again, because an interpreter is not allowed to give any opinions. They're not allowed to input anything within the conversation. You're just there to facilitate between deaf and hearing people. And once I realized that, I was like, okay, I feel like my voice is important enough to be heard now. So that from that awareness is when I went on to become an identity coach, because I also want women to feel comfortable being visible themselves. I want them to be able to use their voice and not hide away in the shadows. And I've loved being the voice for other people, for deaf people, because, it's a lovely thing to do, because a lot of deaf people, they're not heard. For example, the NHS, they will provide interpreters, well, not the NHS, but a lot of companies will provide interpreters of spoken language. But if you were to ask for an interpreter for a deaf person, they won't provide it, even though it's a British Sign Language. So it's a recognized British language. It's just very different when it's spoken language and deaf. So being able to be the voice for somebody else has been amazing. But now I have found my voice, I want to support women to find their voice as well. So it's kind of leading from one part of me now kind of becoming something a little bit different. But I do still do a bit of interpreting now. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be sort of leaving the profession at some point, because I really love the coaching.
Yeah, that's completely understandable. I don't think many entrepreneurs have the same role ever at any point in their business growth or in their career. And because as entrepreneurs as well, we're just constantly evolving all of the time. And it's predominantly because we evolve into our next identity and we have to leave an old one behind because we've grown so much, or we've developed so much, or we've increased our knowledge so much that we no longer really recognize the identity that we had before, right? So
Yeah,
I just
definitely.
want to ask you one more question about the deaf community. So working so closely with people in that world, obviously an enormous barrier for them is going to be lack of resources if they're not eligible, or not entitled to having an interpreter, which I literally cannot believe. But what other barriers do they face every day that hearing people might not even be aware of?
I mean, there's constant barriers. For example, on the train, if the train stops halfway between the stations and the conductor comes on and says, we've had an issue, they don't have a sign coming up and explaining that. So a deaf person, for example, would be sat on that train, seeing lots of people talking or lots of commotion or, people looking confused, but they don't know why, because they haven't been given access to that communication. And hearing people don't understand that. There's so many situations where hearing people don't understand. Another thing, we pick up, and our children pick up on so many things as we grow up because we hear them. The TV's on, you hear the sound of somebody shouting something outside, you hear your parents talking, you hear your friends talking, and we learn information indirectly from what we hear. Deaf people will only know something if they are told directly. And unfortunately, because of that, that's why I think maybe the deaf and dumb, the old way that people used to label deaf people, would come in. Because firstly, the way that they speak, but secondly, because, they didn't have the information that we had. But if you don't tell them directly, they're not going to know. They don't have that ability to pick up on conversations. Like, if you're walking through the street, for example, and you hear somebody talking about something they've just read on the news, what are you going to do? You're going to pick up your phone and you're going to Google it, and you've learn about this situation that's going on in the world. Well, that's not going to happen to a deaf person. So it's just little things like that. It's that they're not behind, they're not stupid. They just need to be given the information directly by somebody. And we take for granted how much we actually pick up throughout our everyday life from our surroundings.
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? Because even with my little boy who's 2.5, the amount of things that he picks up that, maybe my partner and I have said, And we're just like, how does he know that? And, oh, yeah, we were talking about it the other day. It's something that hearing people would absolutely take for granted. And I'm so glad that the D&D phrase has been left in the past now, because it's just not a way to reference somebody, is it?
No.
Especially when they have a disability. It's just so fascinating. Anyway, we could do an entire episode about that, but let's move forwards, because I really want to talk more about your identity coaching and delve into how you're helping people find their voice as well. One of your own limiting beliefs was that you weren't important enough to be heard. Did that stem from your work as an interpreter, or do you feel like it kind of ruminated from anywhere else? And did it have an impact on you prior to the moment that you realised?
Yes, so it actually came from, I think, my parents divorcing when I was 8. So there was lots of it. It's like, oh, the parents divorced. It came from that. But yeah, I felt that during that time, I wasn't heard and my emotions and my feelings weren't accepted. And so therefore I created this belief that I wasn't important enough to be heard. And then I took on a job where I was in the shadows. It's like, well, no one is going to listen to me anyway. So actually, let me take on a job where I don't have the ability to even try and use my voice. But obviously, I was in that job for 24 years. So to then try and come out into the world of coaching and use my voice has been a real challenge. It's been a real journey. It's very interesting because it's like I have a bit of a split personality. So in my personal life, I am very outgoing. You can't hold me back. Give me a microphone. I'll be doing karaoke, whatever. But in professional life, it's very different. I feel like I don't know whether I think, again, one of my other limiting beliefs was a fear of judgment. So I think that very much matched with worrying about what other people think with me coming out of the shadows and into the spotlight. So it's been a real journey to be able to do that. But the fact that I have, and now feeling the way that I do, I want other women to feel the same way. I don't want all these women to be sitting on these amazing ideas, these amazing personalities, and just hiding away because they're worried about what somebody thinks. They feel that, what they have to say isn't important. Every single woman in this world has something important to say. And every single woman in this world has something important enough that somebody else needs. But I feel that we hide away because of our conditioning, because of, maybe we're mums and we just feel like we've got to focus on the family and everybody else comes before our own needs. But I want to teach women that there's a different way, that they can come out of the shadows, they can be put in the spotlight, and they can have everything. And their voice is definitely important enough to be heard.
Definitely. Hear. So when you're working with your clients, you said earlier that you do a lot of subconscious work. So for anyone listening that isn't quite sure what that means or what sort of thing they might be getting themselves into, can you explain to us a little bit more about what you actually do with your clients to get such fabulous results?
Yeah. So our subconscious mind holds our experiences, our past situations that we've been in, the things that we learn about ourselves, other people, and the world around us. It's stored within this part of our brain. And as we grow up, we hear things from our caregivers. So most of this comes from caregivers. So obviously, as children, we're unable to logically think otherwise when we're told something. But all these experiences, all these things that we hear from our teachers, our friends, what somebody has said about us, get stored in this certain part of our brain called the subconscious. And that's where it creates a belief system about what we think about ourselves and other people. And as we go through life, it's kind of like, do you remember back in the day, this is showing my age, when you worked in an office and they had the filing cabinet rooms? Yeah, remember that? So every situation we've experienced, everything that has been said to us gets put in this filing cabinet. And as we go through life, the filing cabinets get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it shapes what we think and what we do and how we behave. So the example, going back to my situation, I'm not important enough to be heard. Because I had experienced something with my parents separating, I had created that belief. So therefore it held me back. And what I'm finding is that when we go through life, like some people aren't aware of their beliefs, just mosey on through life is absolutely fine. But when you are becoming an entrepreneur, when you're going to be in the spotlight, the beliefs start to come to the surface and you really have to work through them, because if you don't, then you are going to not achieve the goals that you want to achieve, because you are going to be holding yourself back. You're going to be telling yourself that it's not possible for you, etc. So it's really important to work on the beliefs and challenge everything that we think about ourselves, because a lot of the time when you think to something about yourself or about somebody else, what usually happens is that if you really reflect upon it and you dig deep, it's a very outdated belief anyway. It's not something that we truly believe, but because we've been told by somebody that's what we have to believe, then we go through life thinking that's it. But actually, when you go through self-development, when you do challenge all of these beliefs, you think, well, actually, no, that's not true. Actually, it is possible for me to go and stand on a stage. Actually, my voice is important enough to be heard. Actually, I can hit £1 million in my business. All of these things are possible, but we limit ourselves because of what we've learned. So the subconscious mind, you can rewire. You can completely disprove all of the beliefs that you have about yourself, rewire them for success and overflow and abundance.
How amazing that we've got this way to be able to get rid of loads of those things. Because in my experience, when limiting beliefs have come up, like, oh, hi there, thanks for joining me. Right. Let's get rid now. I've always been taught that, you've got to find some evidence to back up whether these limiting beliefs are true or not. And I was told 4 pieces of evidence you got to find to prove whether it's true or not. And guess what? Usually there are not 4 pieces of evidence to back up said limiting belief, because as you say, it's usually other people's opinions or other people have put those labels upon us. And I'm sure most of the time, not intentionally, but, both of us as well, we come from a generation of people that have probably got lots of different beliefs as to how the sort of world is working now.
Mm-hmm.
We're much kinder to ourselves, hopefully, now, or at least we're all trying to be, aren't we?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It's brilliant that we can go to that deeper level to help with rewiring what we've already been thinking about ourselves. And for you as well, Kirsty, when you decided to move into coaching, what was it was there like a really big moment? Was it quite a slow transition, a pivotal sort of time where you decided, enough's enough, I've changed my mind, my voice matters? Was there like a moment?
I'd say there was a particular moment. There was actually, saying that, go back, retract what I said. I was putting my daughter's washing away in her bedroom and I was listening to a podcast. And I think it was at that point where I was like, you know what, actually, I can change. But it wasn't an overnight thing. Like when you have been telling yourself something about, who you are for nearly 40 years, you can't just overnight just change who you are. It's not like that. Yeah. It's like, yes, let's flick that switch. Now I feel amazing. It takes a lot of work, but it's consistent work. Even now, I don't know about you, but when, maybe things are feeling a little bit difficult in the business, like I sometimes find like the beliefs start to try and creep back.
Dude,
but
they're pesky.
They're
so pesky.
They are, and they will, but it's the work that you do on yourself that is going to help you to challenge those beliefs and to work through them. And as you say, look for that evidence. Take your thoughts to court, it's called. It's like, where is the evidence that I can't?
I love that phrase. I've not heard that. That's brilliant. Take your thoughts to court. Right, got it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I always do. Take my thoughts to court, and I challenge myself. And like you say, there's never an opportunity to find any evidence that I can't do something. So that's really kind of, it wasn't exactly a pivotal point, but it's more the constant work, and it was that slow transition. And once I worked through myself and my beliefs and my feelings, it was like, okay, now I feel really good. Now I've got to teach other women to do the same thing.
I love that. So it's all come from, I think it's quite clear that it's all come from your own experience and your own journey, but it's one thing going on that journey yourself, and it's another thing thinking, I'm going to share that with other people. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
what makes great coaches, isn't it? That you reflect on your own experiences and then you want to pass on all the things that you've learned yourself. And as
Yeah.
coaches, we're always growing, aren't we? We're always trying to get more knowledge. We always want to be better, be able to impact our clients
Yeah.
even more positively. So yeah, it's just so great. I'm finding that a lot of people are saying that they think they need more confidence, more qualifications, more proof that they're, eligible to take up space. But when, you say you work with incredible people, so do I, like can't move for them, you know. But what is actually going on when someone feels that way? Is it just limiting beliefs? Is it just what's happened to them through their past? Or is there anything else going on there, would you say?
Yeah, so the nervous system has a massive impact on how we feel. And the nervous system is our body's signaling system to make sure that we're safe. So back in the very, very, very olden caveman days, our nervous system was there to make sure that we were safe from any predators. But it was ultimately is to keep us safe. So if we don't feel safe being visible, then we are obviously not going to put ourselves forward for podcast. We're not going to be, the one in the networking event that's working the room. We're going to be holding ourselves back. So it's the nervous system. You can connect with that yourself. It's the sensations you get in your body. And that is how it communicates with us. So I always say to my clients, a lot of women say, I really want to hit 10K months. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But do you feel safe with 10K? And the way that I ask them to do that is just to sit and ground themselves for a couple of minutes and just think about and say to themselves about earning 10K every single month and just seeing that money coming in and what they would do with the money. Now, if they get any kind of sensation in their body, usually it's sort of below the belly button, it's in the stomach. If you get any like dropping, any contractions, any whooshing feelings, anything like that, that is your nervous system telling you that it does not feel comfortable with 10K. So therefore, you're not going to make 10K because what it will do is it will sabotage you. It will stop you from saying yes to the opportunities that could potentially make you that money. It's going to stop you from showing up on social media every day because potentially you're going to make the sales that are going to make the 10K. So it's the nervous system is just as important as the belief system as well.
I'm so glad you said that. I've been talking quite a lot about the nervous system recently and all about overcoming your nerves to be able to step on stages, go on podcasts, all the similar things that you were just talking about there, and about how our bodies are programmed to keep us safe, which is so fabulous, isn't it? But really annoying when we want to, push ourselves into doing something and we haven't quite calibrated ourselves, or we don't have the tools, that you're talking about yet to be able to calm our nervous system so that we can move ourselves forward into whatever it is that we're going to do, or take different steps, whatever it may be. And I think most of people out there at the moment who are struggling with things is because our nervous systems are shot to pieces, aren't they? With everything going on, the world's on fire, there's politics here and this, that, the other going on there. And we've got money to make, jobs to do, parents to take care of, children to look after. There's just so many things, isn't there? We need to be looking after ourselves, don't we? And so what kind of shifts have you been seeing in your clients? Have you got somebody that you could give us an example of what kind of vibes they were, where they were in there before, if you like, and then they've evolved more into their main character identity and are starting to leave their old identity behind? Have you got like a lovely example you could give us of somebody who's had a fantastic experience?
I do. So I started working with a lovely lady, she's gorgeous, in October last year. She saw me speaking at an event and it really resonated with her. So she signed up to work with me and we worked on her nervous system. So she's got 3 businesses. And one of her businesses is she really would like to start growing. So she wasn't getting enough clients in that business. And anyway, we did loads of nervous system work and she now gets inquiries and clients signing with her every other day because of the work she's done. I just want to say this, she hasn't changed any strategy in her business. Her offers are exactly the same. What she does is exactly the same. Her business model has not changed at all. But what she has done is she's worked on herself. She's worked on her nervous system. And as a result of that, she is getting completely different results in her business. As I said, she's getting inquiries. She's going to networking events. And because of the way that her nervous system is now, she's become magnetic. So people are coming to her and inquiring with her. People are approaching her at networking events. People are signing with her. And she's showing up on social media every single day completely differently than she was. She's now talking about herself in a much more, even though she knew what she did obviously was amazing, but she's talking about herself in a different way from that certainty and confidence. And she's getting different results. And this is what I'm saying. You don't always have to think about, right, I need to do something different in the business. Look at yourself. She's a fine example of that. Did nothing different in the business, did the work on her nervous system, and has had the most amazing results.
It's just so great to hear, isn't it? Because a lot of the time, there isn't any issues with the offer or the strategy or anything like that. And it's whether you've got the self-awareness really to sort of take a look in the mirror and say, oh, I think it might be me that needs a little bit of the assistance here. So that's amazing. That's really great to hear. And what do you think for yourself has changed for you over the years for you to step into your main character identity?
So I've really connected with my spiritual side. I've always believed in the law of attraction and the universe. I was introduced that in 2008, but I've really connected more with like the spiritual side of me. And when you feel supported by something greater, something out there, it makes you feel a lot more comfortable in yourself. It makes you feel like you're not alone. It makes you feel that whatever happens, everything is going to be okay. And when you are rooted in those beliefs, you can become your main character because you know that whatever happens, if you can see and you can feel your future, it is in the path and you will get there. You will become that main character. So that is really where my beliefs in, spiritualism have helped me to become my main character because I just feel trusted and supported by the universe that she's going to get me there.
It's a she. I love that.
That's brilliant. She's a she. Of course she's a she. Of course she's a she. Come on.
Absolutely brilliant. I am also in touch with my spiritual side. So it's always really nice to speak to people who are trusting, believing, and looking, in all sorts of different areas, I would say, because I'm a little bit sometimes like, where is this like energy coming from? It's I'm always a bit like curiosity. It gets the better of me and maybe distracts me a little bit sometimes. But there we go. But let's talk just a little bit more about voice and using our voices, because for me, voice is everything. It's underpinned everything that I've done over the last couple of years in this business, and my entire career has been based on my voice from my performing arts background. But of course, using your voice, it's not just about what you say, it's how you say it, it's how you carry yourself when you say it, and it's also like the impact that it has on other people. But what would you say using your voice actually means to you?
To me, using my voice means just being able to express myself fully. It means using my voice to express how I feel, for other people to then feel validated. I think a lot of people, they like to put this facade on that everything is okay and like, everything is great and the world is amazing and I'm amazing. But I'm one of these women at the school gate talking to the school mums going, oh, my child was a little SHIT yesterday. I'm very open like that because I like women to feel that they're not alone. So I like to use my voice to be very candid, very open, so other women can actually say, I'm not alone. It's not just me feeling that my kid is being like this at the moment. It's not just me feeling like life is difficult. Thank you for speaking out because I feel like I'm the only one at the moment. So that's, to me, what I like to use my voice for, is to show women that they're not on their own, because a lot of women don't want to talk about how they're truly feeling, because the Instagram the way that everything is on Instagram, if people like it to be perfect and they don't want to talk about actually what's going on behind closed doors when they're crying their eyes out at 3 a.m. because the business isn't where they want to be, or, their relationships aren't great. I like to talk about that kind of stuff because I want women to know that I'm going through it too, and it's okay for them to go through it. And I like to show them then that I will come out the other side, because I believe that whatever happens with me, I will come out the other side. So I also like I'm a generator in human design. So I like to show people, that is my role, that actually you can feel like this, but with your voice and the inner work that you can do in yourself, you can come out of the other side.
And do you think that narrative is slightly shifting on social media in 2026? Do you think that people are showing up a little bit more authentically to try and cut through like the AI slop, and that it is becoming a little bit more widely acceptable, for want of a better word, to be a bit more yourself? Or do you still think there is a lot of polished content that, everybody just wants to be perfect?
I think there's still a lot of polished content. I do think people like to talk a little bit more about behind the scenes, but I don't think the behind the scenes is the real behind the scenes, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think, it's not truly what's going on. I think I have seen a couple of posts where people were very open, and it got some great traction from other people saying, thank you for saying that, because I'm feeling the same way. But I don't believe we're fully open just yet. I still feel that there's this mask that a lot of people are still wearing.
And one of my final questions, Kirsty, is a question that I do ask, and it is a little bit similar to the question before that I just asked you, but I do think there might be a slightly different answer. But what does reclaiming your voice look like to you?
Reclaiming your voice, for me, it means finding it again. So as a child, we don't hold back, do we? We are pirates in a game. We are policemen and policewomen. We are using our imagination all the time. We're saying what we want to say. We don't hold ourselves back. We tell ourselves that we're going to be whoever we want to be. Then with adult life and experiences, that gets completely diluted. Trust in ourselves gets smaller. We start telling ourselves, because of our experiences and our subconscious belief, that we can't do certain things. So for me, reclaiming your voice is kind of like going back to when we were a child, and back when we fully believed that we could be whoever we wanted to be, whether that was a doctor, a pirate, whatever. But just feeling that like real deep connection with that voice again, that as we did as a child, and just bringing that into adulthood and be like, do you know what, we can be whoever we want to be. Anything is possible for us. So that's kind of what reclaiming the voice means to me.
Love that. And I think that's a great place to start wrapping things up. Thank you so much, Kirsty. So where can we find you online? Where are you hanging out the most?
So I hang out on Instagram. My handle is Kirsty_Mason_coaching. So come and chat with me. Come and say hello. I'd love to meet all of my followers. I will voice note you to say hello. I like to connect with people because, we're living in this digital world now, and we wouldn't go into a room and not chat with most people in that room. So I'm very much quite chatty on Instagram.
Fantastic. So let's all go and follow Kirsty so that we can get a nice voice note from her. Thank you very much. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for all your incredible stories and all your amazing tips and advice. It's been absolutely brilliant. So thank you so much for joining me.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here and for listening to this episode of Reclaim Your Voice. If today's conversation resonated, head to the show notes where you'll find my free audio gift. And if this episode helped you in any way, it would mean so much if you shared it, rated or reviewed the show. That support helps these conversations reach the people who really need them. You can also watch the full episode over on our YouTube channel, and we'll see you in the next one.